and 1. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of the Miss Texas Show. Super excited as always to have a wonderful guest on the show and be able to share with you an incredible story. And so with that, let me officially welcome everyone to the Miss Texas Show, where we showcase life in Texas and highlight amazing survivors of traumatic events, family violence, sex trafficking, sexual abuse, and community leaders who share community resources. Under our segment, Military Time, we invite military and veterans who would like to share with us their experiences during and after the military service. We run this segment in partnership with the National Veterans Chamber of Commerce. We would like to invite those who have overcome traumatic events and would like to share and are now ready to help others. Under our Beauty for Ashes segments, we invite fellow pageant sisters, winners, nominees, artists, musicians, actors, models, and dancers, as well as survivors who are now ambassadors for the cause, to share with our audience their lives and the impact that they have made. Our show runs twice a month, so if you would like to become a guest on our show, please email us at msusatexas@gmail.com or message us on our Facebook at Ms. USA Texas. That is MSUSATEXAS, either at gmail.com or again on Facebook. You can also make a donation to www.hopepyxglobal.org to help us help more people. So with that, we have our wonderful guest today, John Anderson. And of course, as always, Melissa Santana, your co-host. I don't think that I formally introduced myself, but hello, everyone. And so John was born into the Catholic world of religion. He made his baptism, first communion, whole nine, along with many friends at St. Christopher in Mariella, LA. At the age of 7, he moved to River Ridge, LA, and a new school, St. Matthew. His life was going excellent for the first year, but unfortunately was about to change forever. At age 9, George Brennack, now Louisiana's most prolific rapist, started to molest him in school. After 3 weeks of horrific memories, his parents were told by a friend and he was then arrested. However, with many witnesses and eyewitnesses, he was still acquitted. And so the deacon, George Brennack, went on to rape 26 individuals after him. And now, acting as the vice president of the SCSA.org, he fights for justice and does podcasts for NASCA as well. And the SCSA radio, beginning the first of the year, will be a new adventure to healing for all survivors. So with that, it is truly an honor to have you on the show, John. And so what we want to do is just give you the chance, first of all, just to introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about you, since it's the first time, our viewers are meeting you, and a little bit about your journey, what led you here today, all of that.
Okay. Well, thank you for having me, first of all, Melissa. Is that, yes, basically I did grow up in the Catholic environment. And I still live close to the area that this happened to me when I was a young boy. Okay. Growing up in that atmosphere, you actually become part of the Catholic family. You expect, that things are going to, go the way that any other normal, relationship in school with friends, family, the community, comes along with the atmosphere. However, at the age of 9, things were about to change for me, just to the horrific state where it took me probably almost 30 years to overcome a lot of the things that happened to me. Okay. With help, by the way, after the abuse started on me. So if I can give y'all maybe some graphic, situations so I can paint the picture of what happened to me in school, was that the first time that this happened to me, all I did was have a question in class about a particular subject, right? And that's when he called me up to his desk. And I was showing him some of the, curriculum that was there in front of me to see if I had it right. Well, that's when he called me around to the other side of his desk. Okay. And at that moment, I do remember that specific first time, only because that first time was going to be the start of every single day for me for the next 3 weeks. Okay. That's why I remember that day so well. Because this was the second day in class, by the way. Okay. The first day in class, the only reason I know that nothing happened to me that day is because all he did was like a roll call. Okay. And there were at least 25 to maybe 30 other students in this class at the time. Okay. And they did range from grades from about fourth through sixth. Okay. So there were some my age, some older. Okay. Also in this particular class. Well, after the second day is when he started to molest me behind the desk. It became a repetitious thing for me every single day. He would point at me sitting on my desk, and he would call me up to his desk with his finger like this to say, "Come to me," and I already knew what was going to happen. And the reason why that I let it go on for so long, and I say let it go on, I was scared to death. Okay, he threatened me with objects. Okay, he threatened me with a ruler and a paddle. Okay, now I still remember the names of these two objects today, like it's nothing to me. And the names of them, the paddle was named Ashley, and the ruler was a big gold ruler about that wide, named Goldie. Okay, and it had a gold plate on it, and I guess that's the reason for the name for that. The other, I do not know why. However, those have always stayed with me, since I've been a small boy, simply for the fact that he would point to them. In other words, if I was on his lap behind this desk while he was doing things to me, and if I even looked up at all, it was like he used the platform of having this work in front of me as a hidden device where he was molesting me at the same time, because this guy was so, I'd say, horrific and fearful in school. Nobody wanted to do anything wrong in his class because he had that kind of mean demeanor. Okay, not only to guys, but to women also. There were several that have reached out to me over the past few years, just expressing their horrific thoughts of being in his class alone, not much seeing him actually molest me in his class. Okay, including my own sister. Okay, my own sister was 19 months younger than me. Okay, so what happened was that as the days went on, okay, the whole class knew what was going on with me, and then word got out that he was molesting me in school. So now all the students that were in this school, they were climbing garbage cans in the hallway to stand up on, to look through the transom glass on the hall to see him molest me. So it became a running joke, for about a week in school, where they were making fun of me in the hallways. They were, taking their finger and running it in and out of their fingers and stuff, and whistling at me, and and things like that. And these were mostly the older students that were doing this to me, not the ones that were my actual age. Okay. And so it turns out that I want to tell you in depth about what happened next. Okay. Was that I had two friends of mine. One of them's passed on since then. Okay. But these two young boys stood up for me. Okay. And they told my mom what was going on. Okay. I couldn't tell my mom. It's like it's the last thing in this world that you ever want to do is tell your mom you're being raped. I mean, I'm sorry, but I still have
nothing to apologize for. Absolutely.
I still have that memory of that day, sitting in that car with my friend Timmy there, and telling my mom, he said, "Miss Anderson, I have something to tell you." And wow, it's tough. But I immediately started breaking down, and she was sitting in the parking lot of school, asking my friend Timmy what happened. Well, at this moment, I couldn't even talk about it at all. I was just so distraught about what was about to face me that I had no clue about what had happened to me, to the extent of it, the damages that were going to occur to me, both mentally and physically down the road, and the fact that that was the start of a lifetime, basically, of horror through my education. Okay, so after my mom, found out that day. That was on a Friday. Okay. That Monday, we had George Brignat put in handcuffs. Okay. And it was the first time that he's ever been arrested, ever. We have witnesses, the Jefferson Parish, and now here in Louisiana, we have parishes instead of counties, okay, like most people would know in other states, because we're predominantly Catholic, state here. And, but in Jefferson Parish, where I live, the Jefferson Parish Police Department arrested him and took him to jail, basically. But, with that, all that is they take you to jail and they process you. Okay. That happens every day with all kind of crimes. However, with Brignat's case, he was actually back in school the very next morning. Okay. The very next morning, he was back in school. Well, with me, when I say the next morning, that following Monday, okay, he was not only in school, the Tuesday, not only was he in school, but they pulled me out of class, okay, and brought me to the seminary where the priests stay and left me sitting in that house, that freaky house, for an hour by myself. I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know if they were planning on coming in there and raping me. I had no clue. I was scared to death. So I was shaking. So I left. I actually left the school at being 9 years old and ran home. This is a mile away to my house. My mom's like, "What are you doing?" I said, "Mom, they pulled me out of class. Why?" So I had to tell her, I don't know exactly why, what's going on. But all I can remember was that other students told me that the actual head priest walked into that classroom and told the students that they had to pray for Brignat, okay, that he was going through some hard times, so to speak, okay. Where with me, it became probably the most horrific time of my life, because what was about to transpire from then on was absolutely horrific. Between the fact that not only did I have eyewitnesses that saw him physically doing this to me, okay, but besides two boys, in other words, I'm gonna have to paint this picture for you, is that here he is sitting at his desk, okay, to the left of his desk, he would put two students in those desks to hide the person that he was molesting in the classroom in front of other students, okay? Well, after 3 days of Matthew and Timmy seeing him do this to me, it became okay for them to see him do this to me. It's like it was a fetish for him for them to see, So at this moment, yes, word got out around school and everything else, but later on, what happened was that they pulled me out of school. Okay, the priest came to my parents' house and asked us to drop charges on him. Okay, twice, and they offered to put me in another school. Okay, these are my friends. I don't want to leave my friends. You know that crucial age when you're 8, 9, 10. These are your life core growing up friends that you remain friends with forever, Well, that would come to a complete halt with me, big time. I lost every single one of my friends, including those two that stepped up for me and were actually put on the stand. Okay, so let me back up, is that yes, we made it to court. However, my mom was in her 3rd trimester of her pregnancy, okay? And they subpoenaed us 10 different times, 10 times to try to run us off. That's all it ever was, And here she is, she had to go to the hospital herself, because here she is. She is literally 8 months pregnant right now with my brother, and I'm turning 10. No, actually by the time we actually got to the court, 2 years it went by. Okay. So the abuse happened in 76. By the time that I was actually in a courtroom sitting with this monster across from me, it was 1978. Okay. Well, like I was saying, my brother was born in 77. Okay. So you can see how long that it took from the time that we had him arrested to the time that we had him after being subpoenaed 10 times. That's 2 years. Okay. Well, that comes into play. Okay. Because within those 2 years, he had already, that I know of, raped at least 4 to 5 other kids through this time already that we didn't know about until today. Okay. So here's the thing is that, and this is what I have a really, really, really hard time with dealing with, is the fact that, you know, growing up and being a 9-year-old, when you're put on a stand, in the stand in front of the public and in front of a judge who happened to be a major Catholic fundraising judge. And when the bishop walks into a courtroom in his full regalia, the headdress, the robe, the whole 9 yards, you're looking at probably one of the most intimidating and shocking memories that I'll ever have, you know, of this visualization of my rapist sitting right across from me, you know, and all they wanted me to do was identify. They didn't want to know any more details. They didn't even ask me about it, but they let me sit there for 15 minutes staring where this guy's looking at me and I'm looking at him, and he is just the classic. When I say a classic picture of a pedophile, George Brignat, you look at his face, you can tell, you know. And I'm sorry that I don't place judgment on people ever, but if you look a lot at some of the pedophiles that are out here, okay, a lot of them do have similarities. The way that they dress, their demeanors, the different things about them, and the way that they socialize themselves. He is the classic case of a pedophile, and sure enough, does come into play. How we found out was that later on in time, okay, I had to move basically from my home, okay, where I live still in River Ridge today, but I moved to Tennessee. Okay, I could not live here at all. I mean, my friends had disabandoned me. Basically, not my family now. I do want to say my mom and my dad, they were there for me. And we did everything that we were supposed to do. You know, I thought I did the right thing by stepping up and coming forward, you know, at being such a young boy. Well, that's the point of this, of my advocacy now, is that, you know, I want to be that role model. I want to be that guy that steps up for the males, you know. And not only do I do that for males, but I do it for females also, you know. And we know how it's been, is that for years and years and years, the males have had such a strong complex about themselves, about not wanting anybody to know due to embarrassment, due to, you know, the kids that they have in their families. They could be involved with church themselves, but they don't want to interfere to, you know, to mess up their you know, community, you know, situations, including their own kids' futures. And I understand that because I lived through it. You know, I had to pay that consequence for stepping up at a young age, you know. And even today, you know, being that the fact that my friends all left me, is that I don't blame any of them for that, because their parents were telling them to stay away from my parents and to stay away from me. Because I'm telling you, in 1976, you didn't take on the archdiocese at all. I mean, that was a no-no in a community, and really anywhere besides, especially in New Orleans. Oh, no. Yeah, that's, you know, now you became an outcast. You know, now it's basically just, you know, beating a dead horse, because of everybody that's involved with it already on the law side are Catholic, okay, including the judge himself, like I mentioned. And I want to tell you another thing about that particular trial, is that judge specifically ordered what they call a bench trial, okay, instead of having a jury. Okay, if we would have had a jury back then with true people, we would have had him convicted. And not only that, the DA, even the clergy's own lawyers told me so many times that Brignat should have been convicted back then. I'm like, yeah, you know, look what's happened. One man put y'all in bankruptcy. One man. How do you say one man put y'all in bankruptcy? What I'm about to tell y'all is going to shock you. After he raped me, he got a hold of 26 kids after me, okay? I have to live with that every single day of my life, knowing that I tried to do everything I could to protect my friends, the future of any child. I tried to do everything I possibly could, but he was acquitted in that trial. He was acquitted. How do you acquit somebody in that form, in that state, when this is not just a he said, she said thing at all? I mean, we had documents. I still have all the paperwork today from 1976, all of it, you know? And when I walked into the Archdiocese one day, I walked in with a box like this and that tall full of documents. I walked in there, turned it upside down, and I dumped it on the table, and everything went everywhere. I said, here you go. I said, you want everything I have? That's everything I have right there. There were stacks of paperwork coming from the court systems. There were police reports. There were other reports of people that gave their statements. And not only that, is that he admitted to molesting me in school, to the principal back then, okay? Admitted it. Hello? They did nothing. Her name was Sister Agnes Laborde. She's dead now, along with George Brignac. He's dead now, okay? I'm gonna tell you what happened is that he finally, let me tell you, after all of this, of him raping 26 more kids after me, that we know of, okay? That we know of. That's the people that have came out and you know, and said that George Brignac had either molested him or, you know, in my case, it was rape. In most cases, it was rape. From what I understand, 90% of Brignac's people that have came forward are rape cases, okay? Where the other 10 might have been fondling or something like that. I really don't know in specific about that. However, is that the fact that he remained in the Catholic system because he had a twin brother who was a priest, by the way, who was a good man, I will say. Looked just like him, and his name was Horace, and everybody looked up to him, but his brother allowed him to stay in the system behind the scenes without telling the Archdiocese of New Orleans that he was still in the system, and handling the choir boy situation at another school all the way up until 2018. That's just 3 years ago, you know, going on 4 years. I mean, what? Now that there was a younger boy finally came forward, okay? And the fact that I'm going to get on to something else in just a minute. After I found out that he got a hold of this kid, okay, it floored me. I could not believe this guy was even in existence anymore. I was in shock that he even was allowed to be around the Catholic scene whatsoever, you know? And you got to realize too, because of what happened to me, I lost my faith, okay, big time. I haven't been to a mass or a church, I say for me, in 45 years at all, you know, 45 years, you know, I lost every bit of faith I had in any type of religion, faith, or anything when that happened to me. Not that I haven't stepped foot in the doors, okay, before, because my own daughter goes to a Catholic school, a different one now, okay, which I'm heavily involved in around that side of the community, because I know she's heavily protected there now. You know why? Because all the students there, I mean, all the teachers, except for one, are females, okay? That's why I trust them, okay? When it comes down to the clergy, deacons and bishops and priests, don't trust any of them whatsoever. I still don't trust any of them today, you know, and they know who I am. I made it well known. In fact, I do communicate on a periodic basis with the Archbishop who is here in New Orleans. He knows me by first name, of course, and I know him by first name. I don't call him by Archbishop Gregory. I say Greg, because I don't honor that. You understand me? I do not honor, because I'm going to tell you straight up, he's also in on it, okay? We've already exposed him, and that's going to be our next biggest thing here. And I can't wait for you all to see what we have come to be. Okay. And I'm going to tell you who we are. Okay. We are SCSA. All right. SCSA stands for we are child sex, we basically just all of us are I don't know how to put it anymore. We're all survivors of childhood sex abuse. However, there's a difference to me, okay, in being a survivor versus being a victim versus being a warrior. Okay. Not everybody can stand up to the law. Not everybody can represent other victims. Not everybody can support other victims. Okay. Where SCSA, that's what we do heavy. Plus, we're all about justice too. Okay. So that's scsaorg.org. Me and Richard Women. Okay. We are the two co-founders of SCSA. And a lot of them are listening right now, I'm sure. They know about today. And I want to tell you how far we've come, okay? At first, I was, along with Richard Women, we were the SNAP leaders of New Orleans, okay? If y'all familiar with SNAP, it's a worldwide organization, but that's basically those who are abused by priests is how that ends with the SNAP, the AP on the end, okay? Well, that organization, yes, they've done some pretty good work over the years. However, they, in just the 6 months now that SCSA has taken to organization now, is that we have not only have we got the statute of limitations changed, okay, of abolished totally here in Louisiana. That was such a huge goal for us since the beginning, okay, whenever we were with SNAP. What happened was our SNAP leader left and he went to work with the archdiocese, the same people who we fight against every day, okay? He goes to work for them. And I'm like, any organization that's ever going to allow this to happen, negative, So me and Richard started SCSA along with some other people. Now we have a huge worldwide organization, okay? And just like you all, we're out here to put a message out to everyone. We're out here to let you know that we are here for you and that you're not alone, okay? And especially for the men. And you know this, how hard is it for a man to come forward? It's very, very difficult, but those times have changed. And due to the fact of people like me and Richard Women, who is my president of the organization, I'm the vice president, and Stephen McAvoy, and some of these names I'm throwing out at you, these are guys that finally had enough. And they stood up, and now we're making a huge, huge difference in this world, not just to make for Louisiana, okay? I'm talking about the world. Now we are worldwide. We have over almost 1,400 members now. We have a committee. We have a board. We have our own radio station starting the first of the year. Yay. So I can't wait for that to happen. We're in full, launching mode with that. Not to mention that Richard and I have been running the SCSA men's support group. And we also have a women's support group too. So we have women's and we have men's and we have both, okay? So this is what we do. We are all about anyone that wants or needs support of any kind, that's what we want. We need you, along with a hope that you could use us for what our platforms are. And that's, for all the groups that I've been involved with for years and years, this group to me is by far the best. And when I say the best group, you got two kind of groups to me. You have one group that has a lot to do with education and support. Then you have another group that also offers the same, but they also go into justice, okay? Where justice was not served for many, many years, due to the clergy and due to other big organizations that had this, Boy Scouts, another one, and I'm not just saying about the Catholic, Baptist, Methodist, Presbyterian, all the way down the line. Just because the Catholic has come out and had such a huge, a breakthrough with the, with the claims that were brought up through all the way from Boston, all over the world now, is that these other organizations are also into it too, But this is the change that we're making, is that now we even have ministers, we have a priest on our actual board in our organization. And we have Father Mark White, who's with us. Okay. Do you know he is a whistleblower? Okay. He turned the other guys in. What a man. And guess what happens to him? They kicked him out of the archdiocese. Okay. But we're working hard to make sure he gets back in where he wants to be. He did the right thing. He really did the right thing. This guy is legit. He's credible. He's a beautiful human being. And you know what? He stands strong along with me and Richard and I'd say about 10 other guys that we have our group. We support him because look at that. Who stands up to their own purpose and their own, religion for the mere safety of our kids and for our future, And that's what I want to bring up too about the statute of limitations, okay, is that do you know that not only has the statute of limitations abolished here in Louisiana totally, is that means that every unborn child from now on is going to have that. This is the biggest thing, is that not only they also put a 3-year window with us, okay, for criminal charges for anyone to come back on to go after their perpetrators. So this is what Louisiana is doing. I mean, we are setting I don't know, I would say a platform that needs to be matched. Now there's half the states that I'm aware of, about 24 to 25 have totally abolished. However, there's another 13 that have added amendments onto it, okay, which I'm okay with to a certain degree, but it depends on the amendments, because a lot of these amendments, and I want everybody to know out there that statute of limitations and statutes really come down to ages and dates, okay? When it comes down to sexual abuse or any kind of abuse, whether it be physical abuse, domestic, any kind, I don't think there should be any statute of limitations involved with any of it, due to the fact that about trauma, about PTSD. And I was so impressed to hear that you all were in with the military, because I tell you what, I got those people right there. And all my friends are all military. I love every one of them, because I know not only what they're going through to fight for our country, I also suffer from CPTSD. Okay. And I can relate to exactly what this is about, and in order for me to understand not only having it, but also to try to help other people, is that I have to get myself right first. How am I going to help somebody else out if I'm not right myself? So I have dedicated my life now to not only educate myself with other people, just like yourself and everyone else that's affiliated, with Miss Texas and NASCA and SCSA and other organizations out here, is that the education is so important now, is that it's become the priority of everybody's goal, is to get more educated on every situation, because nobody is exactly the same. Okay. The personalities are different. The abuse was different. However, at the end, there comes what I would call a diagnosis of PTSD, CPSD. Then, you have things like depression, anxiety, so many other things that come into play with all of this. Okay. Is that the only way that we can ever try to help one another out is to be there for one another, listen to people when they're talking, and don't interrupt, because sometimes it'll trigger somebody like that. And it's just what they want to say at the right time, but they forgot. It's like after an interview, and I know you've done several. How many times have you gone back and said, man, I forgot to leave that. I forgot to say it. This was so important, Well, that takes really a long time. It takes experience, number one, because without that, you're not going to be able to communicate to the public. Okay. You're not going to be able to communicate to people that really don't understand a lot of the platforms that comes into play with people on their road to healing. Okay. And that's why it's so important with being on the show this morning, is that it's such a crucial thing that anyone out there listening today, is that you're not alone. Number one, is that we have so many people out here now, and with several organizations that can help you. If you're one of these people that listen this morning and you're looking, for that avenue or that guide or that, that piece of closure that may set off you to being more of a loved person. Okay. I just said the magic word. Okay. And it's all about love. And that's what cures everything in this world. Okay. How you achieve that love is up to you in a lot of ways. Only people can only help you in so many areas of reaching that. However, it does not hurt to tell somebody that you don't even know that you love them. Okay. Because if it's anything, that's what they need most of all. And they too scared, or they don't even realize that's what it is. I'm missing that, and this is why that the platform that we have reached now, I'd say probably over the past, I'd say 5 years. 5 years is a good, strong head hold number to use on all survivors coming together, okay, and standing up for the future of our kids. And also to help people come forward. Okay. Now I'm going to tell you that the average age, okay, is 52 years old. That's going to change, but it's not going to change much. Okay. Think about it. 52. Wow. Your life is literally half over for most people, if not more than that. Why? Why it took so long? Well, there's a lot of answers for that. Okay. It's because on the main, like we talked about before, um, is that people have families. They were embarrassed. The atmosphere that they grow up in, they're ashamed. Things like this. Well, that's the breakthrough that has changed over the past 5 years. Is that now? Being that I am a vice president of a great organization, and that we are influencing for the men to come out also, along with the women, because of how hard it is for a man to come forward. And this is what it's all about, with is that not only do I love men and women when it comes to this, is that, it takes both sides to learn off of in order to try to help somebody heal. It's not just about being a man or a woman. It's about what's in your soul and what's in your heart, and about the people that you put yourself around every day. The last thing that I think that anybody wants to do is wake up in the morning and fill your day full of negative activity. Being what we've been through in our lives already, no. That's what I want to actually, offer a piece of advice to anyone out there listening, is that, it's all about the people that you associate yourself around on a daily basis. Okay. Is that, yes, there's going to be some negativity along the way, but how do you handle that? Okay. It's how you handle that negativity. You could turn somebody's life around in one day, just by offering and being there for them, and offering that love and support that they've been needing for so long, where this isn't just about talking and about maybe releasing some of that dark energy inside of you, but it's also about receiving love from other people that have been through the same thing or similar things that you've been through, and letting them in. How important is one word with what we deal with here is the word trust. That is such a touchy word, because we were all put in that environment at one time where we were supposed to be in a trust, environment. We were sent to school, we were sent to the playground, we were sent to the gym or wherever it may be, hoping that we would be in good hands. Well, the main places that we shipped our kids to when we were younger, that's where the abuse actually occurred. So then it leaves us with a really, really dark image in our souls about, trusting anyone when it comes to that, So it takes years and years, I think, of growing and in education, to try to overcome a lot of those dark images that could be there for you, for the rest of your life, if you don't try to do something about it, But, I just want to let y'all know that nowadays, because of the steps that we have taken with SCSA, is that that we're going to be here, for anyone at any given time. My phone number is always available out there. It's area code 504-940-4800. You can look us up at scsaorg.org. We also have men's and women's meetings Saturdays and Sundays. We also have a radio show that we're going to be starting, like I said, on January 1st. And that's going to be called SCSA Radio, in which we're all gearing down. We can't wait for that. And not to mention that we do have regular Zoom meetings almost every day of the week. We always doing something for somebody. So I did want to thank you all for having me today. It's been very nice of you to have me, for one. I hope that if there's anybody listening out there, that it's time to make a change, okay? And it's time to make a move. And if you are a victim, we encourage you to come forward, because now is our time. Right now is the time. Don't wait any longer. And you can remain anonymous, okay? You don't have to spill your name out there. If you need guidance, if you need support, if you feel like you're in better hands with a man talking about it, or a woman, we can do that for you. We have platforms. We have free therapy available, okay? So please look us up. And again, I really want to thank y'all for having me this morning. It's been a pleasure.
Absolutely. But I did want to ask a couple more things. So like I want to be able to so I think it was great, like everything we shared, of course. There's a couple things I did want to at least highlight, of course, before we do it, because you actually did a lot of my work this morning, because you touched on a lot of great things. So you made it like a lot easier. And so, there's a lot that was shared. But going back to the beginning too, I first of all want to say, of course, thank you. You know what I mean? Thank you actually for like being able to find us, secure enough and comfortable enough to share your story, because it's definitely a powerful one, definitely an inspirational one. And there was just a lot that we gained from it. But also just that, but it's also because it's not an easy story to tell though. I mean, it's literally been years and you're still moved to tears. Like we need people to understand that's not like something you decided to do today or you're acting. I mean, these are real emotions that you still carry because you're a human being. And so when these things happen, I mean, you have real responses to them. And so and the fact that you still carry them now. But I think what was interesting was, speaking of what you've been carrying, you talked about carrying that guilt still, like for the 26 that unfortunately got raped after you. I heard that. I did hear that loud and clear. And do not get me wrong, I would feel, I cannot speak for you. You know what I mean? I can't say how you felt or anything like that. What I can say, however, is that is not exactly how I felt hearing you. I will say that, like as an outsider. I definitely think that you did everything you could. I think that even if the other 26, I don't know that you've ever had interactions with them or anything like that, but I just know that at the same time, I mean, even though I know you may feel guilt because you couldn't able to stop that happening, at the end of the day, it was his choice to do those things, and unfortunately, he was who he was before you. And obviously he showed that he was who he was after you, unfortunately, and wanted to do those things and found a way. And honestly, even without you, or even in, we would have loved to justice to have been served properly. I think that he still would have found a way, like to maybe do it some other way, maybe behind bars, outside of them, whichever. And so I just think that it was still incredible that you tried it all. And I just think that if you're going to carry anything, I also hope you carry some pride, because I do think that you did it was courageous. It was incredibly courageous for you to come forward. And so like, yes, it would have been wonderful for it to have stopped that as well. But at the same time, I'm pretty sure what it also showed is that it proved who he was, and that obviously you weren't the only one saying this. You weren't making it up, and that obviously it was true. And like you all, you along with the 26 have that in common. Like you said, I mean, you were not alone in that. And unfortunately, you all had that horrific experience, but it wasn't anything you all did. It was not anything you all did. Unfortunately, it was just an individual who was already like that, who was abusive, who just found you and you all happened to be there and he targeted you. So I just think that was incredible. So like, I was still stuck on that. But I do think that, like you said, there are individuals in your organization who do great work. I think you're one of them. Obviously, you do great work as well. And it's no accident, I think, that you have been able to find these people who also want to do great work with you. So I think that Exactly, in Louisiana and beyond. And for viewers who don't know what the statute of limitations is, it is a big thing because statute
Huge.
of limitations lets you know how much time you have before you're able to pursue a case of a rape, for example, or of, any kind of like sexual assault. And so, and we get that, like you said, it takes people a lot of time to come forward. So it could have assaulted in first grade. I mean, in your case, you were 9, but like you could have been assaulted in first grade and it might take you like 30 years to come forward. I mean, some people it takes longer. It's
Yeah.
so it's helpful to not have that statute of limitations because the limitations literally says how long you have to pursue that case. If it's not there, like you all have done, then you have your entire lifetime to pursue that case. And so,
Right.
and some people need that time to get prepared. So it definitely means that you're doing incredible work. Only thing I wanted to add, because you did a lot great already, and we were already getting close to the end, was just, I was just curious because you shared, being 9 and then all this great work that you're doing now. You shared a lot of it already, so you don't have to like repeat that part. I was just curious what helped you get here, so like from 9 to now. So like, was there
Yeah.
people along the way? Like, where did the thinking shift? Just curious if you could share a little bit about that before we have to go.
Okay. Well, the first thing that happened with for me was to know that I've been trying when I wound up moving away. Okay, because I had to move away. I couldn't be in the environment I was living in. Right. When I moved away, I was trying so hard to get back home. Okay. But you have to realize I moved away for almost 15 years. Okay. 15 years. I lost my parents, my brother growing up, my friend, everything gone. Where I lived in Tennessee, I knew nobody. Okay. So that's where it all started for me, was when I moved away. Okay. Is because I was living up there. I'm like, what am I doing? Why am I running from this monster? This guy has been on my back, running my life since I've been 9 years old. I'm not going to let it happen anymore, you know? And then one day, my dad picked the phone up and called me. And by the way, through these years, if you knew how many conversations that me and my dad had on the phone, I'm like, Dad, you know what? If George Brignac wouldn't have done that to me, my life would have been so much different. This and that. That happened so many times through my life. It's unbelievable. That was always the the end of a conversation whenever I was having such hard times in my life, because I was diagnosed with stuff when I was a kid. Okay. So I've been going to therapy and doctors since I've been the age of 9. Okay. So I need you to know that I have an extensive history of doctors behind me. Okay. Going with therapies and social and things of that nature. But when my dad called me, this was in 2004. Okay. Yeah. And he told me that Brignac was back in the news. I said, no way. He said, I said, that's it. I said, I'm coming back home. I said, I'm putting an end to this. And so unfortunately, by this time, the statute of limitations, of course, was in effect. Okay. Just like you're talking about, but it wasn't until this year of June. It took that long. So I sat, and I'm one of the guys at testimony that went to did the testimonials at the state capitol, along with Richard Women, who's also with me with our SCSA. So we are the ones that are really the ones responsible for getting the statute done. Okay, so it's taken that long. Okay, now we did have an amendment in 1992 that changed some ages, and I think it only went to 5 years or something ridiculous, but that was the key for me, to answer your question direct. Was my dad told me that he was back in the news over other allegations. I'm like, what's wrong with these people? I tried to warn him years ago. He's still in the system. I can't believe it. Well, sure enough, his brother was hiding him even further behind the system. Like I said, he was finally convicted in 2019, and then he dies. Okay. So he never spent no time in jail. Yes. So it took that long finally for the process to take hold. However, that's a good thing now. Okay. It was a bad thing before, but it's a great, great thing now, is because now we have that. And whatever I had to go through and whatever it had to be for me to get to that level, I'm so proud of that now. That's proud more than I could ever express in words now, because I know that every kid and a child that's not even born yet is going to have that protection behind them forever now. And look, I had to pay the ultimate sacrifice for that. And you know what? I'm going to keep on fighting though, every day of my life. Nowadays, what I do is that I handle the justice side more than anything else, and support too. However, I show up. I go to the courts. Okay. In fact, we have 2 cases right now with priests that are being charged this week, and I will be there. And that's what I do now. You know, so I show up for support for the victims. I also show up for support of the statues, right? And I also show up for future references for the news, the media, for anybody else that might need information. I'm always available for that. So I'm on the news quite a bit now, you know, and I'll always be there, and no matter what, you know, because I'm not doing this, ain't about me. I want to make that clear. And I've always said that from day one, is that there's certain people that are in this business for glamour and for glory and to get their name put out there for other reasons. That's not me. And everybody that knows me knows this. I'm fighting for our kids, okay? And I'm fighting for the victims and people that still have yet to come forward that are going to need help, okay? They're going to need help, I can promise you. And the age group that I'm most worried about is the 20s to, say, early 40s, okay? In your 30s and stuff like that, because they don't know what it's like to really obtain PTSD yet, okay? And I know it's coming. They don't know it's coming yet. That's the thing. It takes time, you know, and hopefully that we can interlude with that specific thing is to help them heal on a different road than we had. Okay, because we're experienced now. You know, we have guys that have 40, 50 years experience like myself that know what to do now. Now we know what to lean on. Now we know how to handle things. Where before, if you tried to handle things, it always turned around and bit you in the rear end where you paid for it, you know? Not now. Now things are turned around, you see, and it's okay. Nowadays, you can talk about this in the household, you know? You couldn't before, you know, say anything before, like in the 80s, all the way to the 70s and the 60s. That was a no-no in the house. You didn't discuss things like this. Now, we have to make the kids aware, you know, and I think it's all about education and starting them out at an early age, because times have changed, you know, let's face it. And we have to make sure that is going to be on that given road of education, you know, and communication is huge. Yeah.
I agree. And I definitely think and that's what's amazing about what I heard is that, so the first thing I thought about when you said what you said, and then unfortunately, you know, when he got acquitted and all of that, I didn't hear, you know, that it wasn't worth what you did. I just heard that the system was broken. You know what I mean? So it's not that you were broken. It's not that you did anything wrong. I think you were incredible to be that young and still want to be able to do something and like stand up for
Yeah.
yourself, which, and nobody else is also, and those who are out there and are thinking, well, I'm also not ready. And maybe, you know, nothing's wrong with you either. You know what I mean? I think both are okay. Like whether you are able to, you know, say something about those things, or if you
Yeah.
feel like you're still in a place where you're not ready, it's totally fine, because either way, you didn't deserve for this to happen. Nobody prepares for these things to occur. So there's no right or wrong way to respond to them. It's your life and it's your experience. But I do
Yeah.
think that it highlights a bigger problem, which was that the system was broken and that you
Mm.
did not get the response that you deserved. But
Right.
and like you said, yes, I do think maybe your life might have been different if this did not happen to you. And I am sorry it happened to you. But there's
Mm.
a part of me that's also not sorry, because you turned it into such great purpose, you know, and you're helping such other great people. And there's nobody better to help because you've actually been there, you know. So it's different, you know, when somebody says, oh, I mean, I really empathize with what's going on with you, but, you know, but I've
Right.
never been raped. So like I can only, you know, think so far. No, you know, you have that inner experience, you know, and it really
Right.
drives your passion behind this work. And it's
Yeah.
super evident. It just exudes from you. So I mean, it totally makes sense why you are involved in all these efforts and do what you do. So with that, there was a lot of great gems that you mentioned. There's a radio show coming in the new year. So hello everyone. You got to check that out. But
Mm.
we do want to end with you repeating how people can find you, you know, the projects you have, and just, you know, how they can get in touch with you.
Sure. Okay. Well, again, I want to thank you all so much for having me this morning. It's been such a great show. A lot of education and stuff. So, yes, our organization is www.scsaorg.org. My name is John Anderson, along with Richard Women. We have started this organization back in, we actually started in February, okay? We had a lot of plans before that. However, we do have almost 1,400 members now. We do have men's and women's support divisions. As far as the SCSA number goes, I actually do have a number for that. It's area code 302-493-4919. That's SCSA's number. My phone number is area code 504-940-4800. You can reach me at John G. Anderson 11 at Yahoo, or you can reach me at SCSA at John Anderson also. Okay. And so that's basically most of the information, to get a hold of me right there.
Absolutely. And I definitely encourage people to do so because, like I said, you're doing a lot of great work. There's a lot of great opportunities to assist with this. And like I said, you're bringing to light a lot of things that need to be brought to light. But like I said, you're also representing a population that, like you mentioned, doesn't always get tapped into. So like those who identify as males, like it's true, it happens to males. You're clearly evidence of it.
Well,
but it's just, we need more champions in the community
and
also.
Want to let you go with is that the men's support meetings are on Saturdays, okay, and the women's are on Sundays. So it's 2 separate days, and every now and then I will go to the women's side just to pop in and say hi and just see how everybody's doing every now and then. But I try to leave that side to them. And but today at 3:00, it's 3:00 Central is when we have our men's meeting, and then I think it is 4:00 Central Time on Sundays for women. Yeah.
Which is wonderful. And so I just think that's amazing. It's a great thing to be able to have and just to be in that community. And if you're going to heal, know that you can heal with others and that there are other people that can help you on your journey as well. So with that, John, it has been an honor and a pleasure. Thank you so much for coming on. And any last words for our viewers?
No, I just if anybody, hey, if you see something, please say something. Okay. And call me. Pick that phone up. If you're ready to come forward, please. We are waiting on you. We need you. I need you as much as you need me. How about that? Okay. There we go.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'll talk to you soon, Melissa. Okay.
Absolutely.